Hey everybody. Um, I'm on here to give you some information, um, somewhat of a download, and I would say it comes from me and my brother Josh. So there was some information that came through in a reading recently. I met with a medium, and she was reaching out to Josh, and she spoke about him being with Samuel. And when I initially was going to do this video for you, I thought I was going to be talking about Joseph, because Joseph, uh, father of Jesus, he's been coming to me, but that's not where I'm going with this video. I'm going to talk about Samuel, who was one of God's prophets, the first prophet after Moses. So in this reading that I had with a medium, she said that Samuel was with my brother, and I couldn't figure out who Samuel was. You know, there wasn't a Samuel that stood out in my mind in his life, past or present. So I just started doing some research, and I came across Samuel from the Bible. So as I said, he's a prophet. He was the first prophet after Moses, and he was a major player. Like his story, he was very involved in David and Saul, which were the first two kings appointed by God himself. And Samuel directly had a hand in that. So that alone, like just that first piece of it, for me, really ties into a lot of what has been occurring in the world and has been going on in the last couple of years. I know there's a lot of people who've compared what's going on to biblical times, and and you can make a lot of connections to it. And definitely, as I talk about Samuel, I'm making those connections. I've made the connections previously too, and just, I mean, for me, like if you think that we begin here and we end here, then these kind of connections aren't going to come to you. But if you believe that we begin here and we end here, then you're going to start to see how these we're essentially living the same time, you know, the same story is being played out. So back to Samuel. Yeah, so what, that whole notion of him being the first, him being a major player, and David and Saul being God's first two appointed kings. I mean, I think we're seeing like a big shift in who's been in power in the world, and that is shifting. And I think that who has been in power has not been God appointed, but I believe, you know, or I feel, I don't like to use the word believe so much, but I'm seeing that who is coming into power is God appointed, you know, through the people that have awakened and that are awake. So Samuel means name of God. literally means name of God. And Samuel also means God has heard. So I thought that was significant, it really connected to me to God hearing the people's cry, hearing our pain, hearing what we desire. It's what it kind of made me think of with that name of Samuel. Samuel is also the last judge, or I think one of the last judges. So when Joshua dies, which, as you know, or maybe you don't know, but my brother's name is Joshua, who recently died. So when Joshua dies, and we then, in the Bible, we enter the day of the judges, where there's no longer government. Okay? I just got chills saying that. That is significant to me. One, it being the relationship between Samuel and Joshua, and what occurs after Joshua dies, and the no government piece. I'm seeing that is a direction we are moving in. And you can, don't get caught up on the whole judges thing, because I think we have to remember that, as the government is being removed, which, I see that is happening. It's not as apparent, but underneath it's happening. And we enter the day of the judges. The judges to me are those God-appointed people that are in power. So, and if you are a man or woman of God, then there's nothing to fear, when you hear that word. And it says so there's no government. After Joshua dies, Samuel's the last judge. We enter the days of the judges, no government, and people come forward to deliver Israel from enemies. So if you think of us humans on earth as children of God, which I do, I'm not going to get into Israel specifically, but my understanding is that in the Bible, Israelites are descendants of God. So to deliver Israel from enemies, to free the people, right, from those who have been in power that have not been God appointed, and from a corrupt government, to free the people from a corrupt government. So that, to me, that whole piece right there was very significant. When I was doing my research, it came upon that. And this was just kind of an interesting piece too, that Samuel, from what I was reading, was the only ghost that we meet in the Bible, the only ghost who a medium conjured up the spirit of Samuel. I think it had to do with something with David or Saul. I'd have to go back and look over it. But he was conjured up by this medium. And I think I remember in reading the story, he wasn't too happy about it. But he was conjured up by this medium. And also, Samuel is one of the only people in the Bible, one of the few people in the Bible that God calls by name. So yeah, that was my research that I wanted to share with you in regards to Samuel. And I think when I met with this medium and my brother being there, with Samuel and allowing this information, the names to come over, and then for me to kind of do the work to get this piece. Yeah, I feel that my brother's doing some very important work on the other side with some really important people, and for Samuel to come through just in that littlest bit of his name, I think was very significant. So thank you, Samuel, and thank you, Josh, and thank you for watching.